So as we said in our last video, we were going to answer some questions that we receive quite often, and they're questions that everybody really wants to know, and hopefully we have some good news coming. So with that being said, we'll get started with the first question.
Okay. What was your first step of starting a wedding venue? That's a loaded question, I should say. Some of you know our story. 2013, son and daughter-in-law got married. We questioned what all the money went to. That's kind of the start of it.
And you can go back to our first video that addresses that. But basically, if you want to start a wedding venue, I highly recommend that your first step be do some research, look at what's involved, watch videos like ours. You're not going to find all the information you need in one spot, unfortunately. That's why we've kind of put this together to help us and to help other people down the road. And then you really got to decide if you want to fund it, you want other people to fund it, if it's legal where you're going to be, if it's not legal, if you're going to buy one that's already established or build your own. So there's a lot of questions there. Let's move on to the second one.
Okay. What takes the longest in the loan process? Oh gosh, the paperwork.
100% the paperwork.
100%. Shy of them asking, my biggest joke is shy of them asking for our son's retinal scan or the blood of a virgin. Those are the paperwork is, it's out of control. Everything they ask
in September of 2021, myself and our second oldest was in Georgia building the shed, I think. And he wanted to get a haircut, so we went into Athens. Long story short, he goes in the barbershop. There's a sign for the SBDC. We didn't know what it was. While I was waiting, I thought, I'll check this out. Dialed it up. If you have one in your area, highly recommend it. It's just,
what is the SBDC?
Small business. So they development center. They help you with getting your paperwork in order, getting your information in order, and they'll tell you right away if you got a good chance at getting a SBA loan or not. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of it. It started then, so technically it's been, at the time of us filming this video, it's been a year, and it's been about 14 months, and we're in underwriting, I think, now with a financial group, which we'll go into at a later date. But if you don't have the time to commit, if you're looking for a fast SBA loan, they don't exist.
No, they
unless
don't.
You've already had one in the past and you're going back to work with the same bank or the same financial institution that you started it with.
And we can't say that having investors isn't a good idea. We do not have that at this point. We've just gone straight for the small business loan because, at least for me, Paul has had businesses in the past, but for me, I have not. So they do ask a lot of information about what experience that I have in general at owning a business. There's a bazillion questions that they ask, but we'll get onto that later. Where are you in the loan process was the next question.
Like we just said, we're in underwriting. I would say final underwriting, I believe. There's levels of underwriting. Like the financial institution that we're using, they actually have people in their group that were underwriters for SBA loans, and they know what to look for and what to do. So they take your information, go over it, get the tough questions out of the way early, and then they send it through underwriting with an SBA director, and then that's where we're at right now. We're waiting for that to get sent through the final thing. We've received our rate sheet. We've received how much we're going to pay for this loan. We've received our bids. We still have some final bids to go over, but pretty much we're in the last few steps of this.
I know one of the questions that somebody had recently, I don't know if it was a YouTube question or if somebody had asked me personally, is Oh, now I can't remember. I'll have to pause. Blooper. It had something to do with what the small business loan and the loan that we're getting from the bank. So it's not all small business. We have to do a SBA loan through an actual bank. Can you kind
Yeah,
of
so the bank
explain that
takes on the
process?
loan. We'll just use real numbers. So let's say we're getting a loan for $10. Out of that $10, the bank initially writes the loan for the $10. The SBA backs it up. I believe it's 60 or 75%. That I think it varies with different information, different areas, and different types of loans. They only loan up to a certain amount on equipment, only loan a certain amount on buying real estate. But basically, the government says, I'll back, 60% or 75% of it, and you guys got to carry the rest. Once we get finished, um, it becomes a construction loan, basically, or a commercial loan, and the rates it all gets established. It's done. We have in our loan, we're paying we're paying 12 months of interest only payments, which by the end of the bill, probably within 6 months, it's going to be whatever the loan payment is anyway, because, if you've ever had a loan, the first several years of your loan's interest only for the most part anyway. So, there'll be more details to follow on that, but that's basically what an SBA loan is.
Okay. One big question has been, when are you moving?
Right.
So we initially thought when the loan is approved, that's when we're going to go to Georgia. And honestly, a lot of that was fear from me. I have been in my position as a nurse for 29 years, and I'm comfortable where I'm at. This is a big move for me. But with much prayer and positive reinforcements from people who have really been backing us, we've just decided, even if everything goes south, and the loan doesn't get approved, whatever happens, we're still going to go ahead and make the jump to Georgia. Because one of the biggest questions from any bank that we've had so far is, you're not a Georgia resident. Are you planning on running the business from Cincinnati, and how is that going to help? So if we just go ahead and, I don't want to say nothing is keeping us here, because we have kids and such, but we're empty nesters now. And we want to see the dream become fruition. And I think it might be a little bit easier, I should say a lot easier, for Paul to be present and move forward when we don't have to drive 8 hours to and 8 hours back from Georgia to see do anything. So what do you think about that?
So the short version of that is, when the loan gets approved, I will move down there and come home on weekends or whatever when I have free time to come back. But my business can run here in Cincinnati. It has been running in Cincinnati for quite a while. The people we have in place with our business is a godsend, to say the least. And they can handle it without me. It's been very, very obvious. And Ginger will probably move. Her time is up with her brick and mortar business, we'll call it. Her job, we'll say April.
Well, May. So I teach for Xavier University, and this term I'm teaching on campus. Normally I teach online, but there's been some issues with that, so I decided to do an online or on-campus position, and mainly because our son goes to Xavier, and so we get a large amount of money for his tuition if I continue with Xavier. So that's
why we're going to that length. And then with Bethesda, it's April, whenever. So that takes us into our next question, which is, what are you going to do with your house in Cincinnati?
Yep.
We're obviously going to sell it. We're going to put it up for sale. We've had quite a few people already inquire about that. Don't anticipate that taking a whole lot of time for the sale to happen, but when it does, it does, and we're going to move. And hopefully in that time we have a structure put up to take our belongings from here and house them down there. And then ultimately we will if we're doing the building, we'll be renting a house down there until we can get ours built. And but as far as where I'm staying, it's temporary structure, camper probably for, I just need somewhere to sleep basically, and a hotel's way too expensive. So, what's our next question?
Well, that was what are you going to do with a house in Cincinnati? Are you planning on keeping the handyman job? You already said that. How's that going to work?
Yeah.
What will Ginger do? So what will Ginger do when you move? Will she stay in nursing or teaching or just do the wedding venue? That's a good question. That was actually one of the questions the bank had. Being a nurse, I've been a nurse for 29 years. I'm not giving that up. It took a long time for me to become a nurse. I know exactly what to do in nursing, and I have a lot of different opportunities. I can teach. There's a lot of different colleges down there. I don't think that I'm going to quit nursing. If anything, I will do something like in an optional or what's called PRN position just to keep my skills up, to keep my foot in the door. And I've done a lot of different things besides OB. I've done priority care or like an urgent care. And again, I can teach. My plan is to continue to teach for Xavier, hopefully an online until at least Gavin has graduated. I'll at least keep my, they're called CEs or continuing education credits, because I will never let my nursing license lapse. Once the wedding venue comes up full time, that is my plan, yes, to do that. But again, I'm not going to quit what I'm doing either, because I think at some point, hopefully the venue is just going to, I don't want to say run itself, but we'll have a staff or something along the lines of that. And then we'll be able to do, some other different things. So I do want to continue.
That's on down the road.
Yeah. To keep my license. I don't want to lose that. Okay. This was a big one. What about your kids and grandkids? How do you feel about leaving them?
Well, we're not really leaving them, but we are reload because we don't live next door to them now.
Yeah.
Our situation has been pretty fluid lately. Our oldest one, and my beautiful daughter-in-law, or our beautiful daughter-in-law, Hannah, had just had number 2, Arthur. Not just had, but he's less than a year
8 months old.
And they're very established where they're at. We get to see them occasionally. We don't see them weekly we don't see them daily, honestly, like I'd like to.
Probably monthly, yeah.
And number 2 son has stepped up and went into a position to help us with our parents. That has become an issue lately, and that's been a godsend, honestly. Came at the right time. Our number 3 son recently got married. He lives in Dahlonega.
No,
I'm sorry.
he lives in Dalton, Georgia.
Close enough.
So it's about 2.5, 3 hours from us.
He's the closest to us.
Yeah. And he's been the farthest away.
Yeah.
And we're moving towards the close. So yeah, that's kind of
number
nice.
4 is going to be, when we make this move, we'll be going into his junior year
of
college. Nursing in college. He visited us yesterday, and I got the feeling that he's very comfortable being out on his own.
Oh yeah.
And in his own place. So much so, I think he's probably going to be looking at being a solo, non-roommate.
Yeah.
Inhabitor.
He is actually really interested in traveling nursing, so I can see him doing that. So he would be traveling anyway.
Yeah, and then my brother and my family, they move all over the country. My sister-in-law still enlisted, and I think their next step is either Virginia or middle of Texas. Either way, it's closer to us than where they're at now. So our parents are going to stay where they're at until a big life event happens, I would assume. So family is
everywhere.
They're all over the place, and we don't, and it'll be nice. We should have the facilities for everybody to come and see us, and or we should have within a year or two, we should have the ability to come and see them. So it's something to look forward to.
Okay, so one of the last questions, well, there's a lot of questions, but we're sticking to just a small amount of questions. Have you started building yet? Where in the process are you in the build?
So the next big step is I started a handyman business in Georgia. It's a licensed LLC. And I got hired by our subcontractors to do the preliminary electric and whatnot because the people who are building our venue are commercial contractors. And I also, ironically enough, one of the guys doing the loan in the bank, he has a job for me down there. And honestly, there's a couple Airbnb people who have expressed interest in, hey, can you help us out? The SBDC guy, he's got projects. The county commissioners have contacted me about it. So long story short, it shouldn't be any real big deal to find work down there. But as far as where we're at with the build, we're right in the preliminary part of getting the infrastructure in place. So we're going to put in a driveway, and under the driveways, electric, there has to be passageways for electric, for lighting, water, for irrigation. And telecommunications might be coming through there. So to keep from having to dig up our driveway, because it gets geotextile under it, we're going to put pipes underneath of it in strategic places, hopefully to eliminate the need to dig it back up. That's the first step. Second, if our loan gets approved tomorrow, I'll have to get down there and sit down with the engineering team who are changing the prints. Because we're changing the building around a little bit, and I don't know if you guys seen them before, but my drawings were on,
Graph paper.
graph paper to scale, and it wasn't great. So the CAD guy is we're going to be working with him to get that straightened out, and hopefully we have a video coming really soon that says we got our loan and this is what we're doing next. We just wanted to throw this video out there. Tell everybody thank you for the support, for watching our videos. It helps us a ton. I mean, if you've watched the video this long, I don't know why you don't subscribe and hit the like button. Because we went from, our mom and none of our kids watching it to there's quite a few people now that watch it. So,
and we just hope, honestly, that it helps somebody else who's potentially interested in starting, not even a wedding venue, just an event venue or something, looking towards starting your retirement,
Right.
Towards a dream, what are the processes of starting that? And honestly, when we first started doing the videos, it was, okay, where did we put that electric?
That helped
Oh
a ton.
shoot,
We've
where
already
did we?
used that. We've already went to that,
Yeah.
and it's helped us tremendously. So,
Yeah. What is the last thing? Oh, really quick. The last thing that I actually worked on yesterday was, since we don't have, one of the questions from the bank is, since we didn't have the ability to show a bride what we have, just showing them a plan or a print. So I made a couple of videos of what a bride would see as her venue. So as soon as we get the information, hey, we're closing, the minute we break ground, I'm going to do a mass media, just kind of blitz it out, and hopefully start getting those brides in and showing them that video so we can
might be able to show you that at a later date. But
as soon as we get the okay.
As of right now, sorry this video ran so long. Yeah. We're hoping to have more information coming out soon, and thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for supporting us. See you.